Good morning. Here are your 6 o'clock headlines. And the Police Service of Northern Ireland apologises after a major data breach identifies thousands of police officers and civilian staff.
We operate in an environment at the moment where there's a severe threat to our colleagues from Northern Ireland related to terrorism, and this is the last thing that anybody in the organisation wants to be hearing.
6 water companies in England are facing legal action over allegations of underreporting sewage discharges and overcharging customers.
Wildfires cut a devastating path across southern Portugal, heading to the popular Algarve resorts.
Instead of buying an outfit that you only wear once, what about renting something like this one? I'm at this fashion warehouse in Scotland to learn more about this growing trend.
And he is on top of the world. Tony Hudgell smashes his latest fundraising challenge.
In sport this morning, just 3 days before the new Premier League season gets underway, Wolves part company with manager Julian Lopetegui, with former Bournemouth manager Gary O'Neill set to replace him.
We had the pleasure of chatting to Shirley Ballas, the Strictly Come Dancing head judge, who joined us on the sofa earlier this week to tell us about her skiathlon. And this morning, we have an update for you.
Yeah, here she is, taking on the first leg of that challenge, a mile-long zip wire ride. And I can't believe how completely calm she is. There's no screaming.
Well, she said she'd been on a yoga retreat and had, I think, been meditating and practising kind of getting into the zone. So I assume that's what she was doing there. But what an incredible shot.
Just absolutely cool
frontal.
as a cucumber.
Amazing
Well
stuff.
done, Shirley.
Yep.
Will she be so calm for the next legs? Because she's got to do a wing walk strapped to the top of a flying plane.
Yeah.
And then she's doing a free-fall parachute jump.
Yeah, I think that was the thing that was worrying her most. Yeah, she has to jump 13,000 feet in the air out of that plane. She's doing it all. She's very passionate about this to raise money for the mental health charity Calm. Her own brother took his life a number of years ago. So she was very keen to put herself out of her comfort zone. But nonetheless, I think she is mildly terrified.
Well done, Shirley. We look forward to the next pictures of your next efforts. Right.
And then she's got the free-fall parachute jump from 13,000 feet. Amazing.
Shirley is doing it all to raise money for the mental health charity Calm, a cause that's close to her heart. Her brother took his own life some years ago, and that's why she's doing it. She says that he is in her mind all the time, well, every day anyway, but particularly doing these challenges. She's doing it for him.
I have to say,
well done.
She made doing a zip wire look very elegant somehow. I'm not sure the rest of us would have managed that.
Really cool, really cool.
Look at today's papers, starting with the Daily Mail. It leads on 2 major data breaches. We've been talking about the one involving thousands of officers from the Police Service of Northern Ireland who had their details accidentally published. But also this other one, millions of UK voters have had their personal information compromised after a breach at the Electoral Commission.
The Guardian this morning reporting that a class action legal claim against water firms which have pumped raw sewage into the sea and into rivers could ultimately face an £800 million payout.
The Eye leads on the results of a trial showing that a new weight loss drug can reportedly reduce the risk of strokes and heart attacks by 20%, although we know there are supply issues with those kinds of drugs at the moment as well.
And there's an incredible story on the BBC website. We've seen this, Rach. This is Peggy Jones in Texas. No wonder she is smiling, because she was attacked by a hawk and a snake at the same time.
I know, we should clarify, the snake didn't go for her. The snake was itself the victim of an attack, right?
They're all victims in this story. So Peggy was mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
The hawk is carrying a snake in its mouth, drops the snake
onto her arm,
onto Peggy's arm,
yeah,
and then tries to reclaim the snake,
yeah,
and pulls Peggy in the process.
I mean, the pictures which we haven't shown you of her arm after this were pretty brutal.
Really grim.
So that's a bit of bad luck, isn't it?
It's more than bad luck.
To deal with one, you'd think might be
That's
enough,
why I never mow the lawn.
It's a very,
my
very
excuse,
sensible,
hawks
very
and snakes.
decision.
Right.
Now, many of this morning's papers feature images from Sinead O'Connor's funeral yesterday. We were there in Bray in County Wicklow talking to people who'd come to pay their respects yesterday, and here you can see the crowds absolutely packed the streets for the funeral cortege there. Her family had said that they wanted locals to be able to come out and pay their respects. But there were people, I think, from all over the country, all over the world, in fact, who'd come along to share in that moment. Yeah, just that little town and that little part of Ireland absolutely swamped with Sinead O'Connor.
It was
fans.
every bit the turnout that our guests in Bray yesterday told us they were expecting. Interesting thing here in the papers this morning about steps. If you count your steps, if you check on your phone or your watch or any sort of pedometer device, 10,000 is the goal, isn't it? That we're told, do 10,000 steps a day, walking, you'll be all right.
Although I think that's quite arbitrary, isn't it, that 10,000
according to the paper today, it's even more arbitrary than we thought, because they're saying that 2,337 steps are enough to cut the risk of disease. And
2,000 steps, that's all you need to do?
Yeah.
You do that
2,337.
skipping around the studio in a morning.
I've done that this morning.
Yeah.
But you were telling me you do loads more than 10,000
I
generally.
probably average about 15,000
Wow.
without really thinking about it. But then I have a dog.
Okay.
So, you know, she gets me walking.
I have a dog. I don't do 15,000 steps. You're going to live forever.
Okay, let's take a look at the front pages this morning then. Lots going on. And the Metro reports on the cyber attack on the Electoral Commission, estimating the number of people affected to be about 50 million. In addition to that, the Mail covers the data breach involving members of the Police Service of Northern Ireland. The Express looks at the UK's partnership with Turkey to tackle small boat channel crossings. Well, according to The Guardian, the public could be given access to as much as £800 million in compensation over water companies' failure to stop sewage being released into the country's waterways. The Telegraph has seen data suggesting the number of civil servants earning more than £100,000. Well, it's gone up by 88% since 2016, despite pay freezes and because exceptions are made when people are promoted. And the Mirror understands that the Prince and Princess of Wales, well, they'll take a leading role in the commemorations around the upcoming first anniversary of the death of Queen Elizabeth II. The Eye has word of a weight loss drug that's said to reduce the risk of heart attacks or strokes, and that's also the main story for the Times there. The Financial Times hears that Google and Universal Music are discussing the idea of licensing song melodies and artist voices so they can be monetised if artificial intelligence finds a way to replicate them. Interesting. While the Star has little sympathy for clairvoyants and tarot readers, losing work to AI chatbots declaring, well, they didn't see that coming. You can always rely on the Star. And if you want to see any of those front pages again or read the stories, scan the QR code on the screen.